Welcome back to Mock, where we take a look at someone else's mock draft. And I'm Mocky, giving you my views, thoughts, and opinions. Got a good one today as we're going to check out Damian Parsons' new mock draft here. But what's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know. So go ahead, become a bro and subscribe. Leave this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the content. As always, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let's have that nice, beautiful football discourse. I feel like this kind of gives away what's going on at 1. New quarterback at 1, goes 1, wonder who it is. Let's go ahead, check that sucker out. By the way, I got a 3-round mock draft I did with Hail Mary Sports, came out yesterday. Go ahead, check that out. But Anthony Richardson, they move up to 1 to get Anthony Richardson. Right now, there is a lot of love in the betting markets for Anthony Richardson moving to 1. So, hey, we're still early in the off-season draft process. I know the Senior Bowl and all that's in the rear view, but I mean, we got the Combine coming up, free agency, then there's going to be all these pro days, so there's still a lot going on, a lot left to be said here, but holy moly. So, basically, it's going to cost the Colts to move up here to 1, which was actually similar value that I did yesterday. 2 firsts and that second-round pick. Obviously, the Bears are going to kind of value a very high second-round pick after burning one for Chase Claypool. But Anthony Richardson going to the Colts. I think it's interesting. This tells me you're probably leaning more to that rebuild, so we could maybe see them like not bring back guys like what? I think Okoriki's a free agent. We could see them release Kenny Moore. We could see them maybe move on from like a Stephon Gilmore, guys that they maybe are like, you know what? We don't really. There's not a plan for those guys, at least in the near future. Julian Blackman played a bit in the slot, so maybe you move him there. You saw good things from Rodney Thomas. You have Nick Cross there, who they drafted on day 2 of the 2022 draft. So Anthony Richardson kind of tells me, okay, maybe we're in line for a rebuild here. So maybe we move on from some of our older players. So that's my thoughts. Bryce Young? Bryce Young going to Texas. Hot diggity dog. That's a good pick. I like that pick so freaking much. What a way to start off the D'Amico era by drafting Bryce freaking Young. I don't care if he's 5'10 and a half. We've seen short quarterbacks succeed to some level. I mean, dude, freaking Russell Wilson took the Seahawks to multiple Super Bowls. Kyler Murray, he's fun to watch. He's kind of this like top 12 guy. So like I feel like with at least the dude with the passing ability of Bryce Young, the dude he sees well over the middle of the field. He had no problem doing that at Alabama, so I don't think I'd be worried about that at the next level. So I think it's kind of a no-brainer pick. I imagine the Cardinals here take Will Anderson or Jalen Carter. It's Jalen Carter. Zach Allen is a free agent. J.J. Watt did just retire. You got some promising young edges you spent day 2 picks on last year in Myjah Sanders and Cameron Thomas. So grabbing Carter I think would make sense for some people. Carter is at the top non-quarterback prospect. So Chicago Bears taking Will Anderson. Yep, Will Anderson. We're not going to get too outlandish and put Tyree Wilson here. So they grab, they'll have an extra first next year. They get 2 seconds now, early second there for the Bears this season. So that's good for them. They get Will Anderson. That defensive front 4 really needs, like they got really nobody of note there. There's Travis Gibson, but obviously he's probably more edge 2 or maybe even a rotation edge. Bringing more talent. They're developing Dominique Robinson as well, but Will Anderson just kind of on another level. Right, pick 5. The Seattle Seahawks are going with Tyree Wilson. A lot of people are mocking this one as well. If they don't go quarterback, they're typically going Tyree Wilson here at this pick. And I like it. I think it's cool. They can maybe polish him to be a high-end elite pass rusher. If anything, you get a good versatile body along that defensive front 7. We got a trade here. The Detroit Lions actually moved back, so the Carolina Panthers can move up, get Will Levis. So CJ Stroud looks like he's going to be the 4th quarterback off the board here. So for the Cardinals to move, or the Panthers to move up, they still had to give away another first-round pick, which is fine. We've seen like a team like the Bears try to move up to 10 from like 20 or 11 from 20 and give up multiple firsts. So makes sense to me. And then they throw in a 3rd rounder there. So I feel like the Panthers are in a good position where it's like, yeah, we got this draft capital, but let's go ahead and just move up and get our guy. I feel like they should be in play at 1 if they really do like a quarterback in this class. So I think a smart move by Detroit, because moving back to 9, you still kind of get your pick of this corner class, because I assume we're not going to see corner at 7 or 8 with Vegas and Atlanta, but I don't want to. Yeah, it's too early to call. Let's see how it plays out. But you move back, but you're still in front of Philly, who could also be a landing spot for a corner. So I think it's good for the Detroit Lions. All right, the Raiders, they're going with CJ Stroud. You almost have to. With the no quarterbacks left on the board, I don't care if you're bringing in Jimmy G. I don't care if you're bringing in freaking Jacoby Brissett. Draft a quarterback with this pick. I know they got a lot of other spots they need to address. Go ahead, get your franchise guy. Like, you have, honestly, they have an offense that's capable of scoring a lot of points with guys such as Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams, Darren Waller. Like, go ahead, grab your quarterback of the future. They got a lot of cap space. Try to like bring some guys in via free agency to kind of creep back towards average defensively. Wow. Okay, Falcons, they're going with Christian Gonzalez. So I kind of said that about Detroit being wise, moved back to 9. But I mean, hey, they moved back to 9. They're still probably gonna get a good corner there. But Christian Gonzalez is a good pick. I mean, I think they have good sub-package guys, or at least good depth at corner, with like Darren Hall, D. Alford. They got Casey Hayward there as well, kind of the veteran of the bunch. And, of course, you're looking for someone to pair up with A.J. Terrell for the future. And Christian Gonzalez could do that. I think he's going to blow up the combine this week. All right. I think DBs perform Saturday. Let's see. No, they don't perform Saturday. Oh, it's Friday. They do Friday. Okay, so kind of is what it is. All right, the Detroit Lions go with Joey Porter. So not Devon Witherspoon. I think Devon Witherspoon's going to have an interesting go this week. I think he's going to test out really well, but I think his size is going to be important for some people. But Joey Porter, we already know the length is good, the size is good. He had a really good season this past year. He comes in there to pair up with another former Big Ten prospect in Jeffrey Okudah. So Detroit, I feel like you don't stop. I feel like I would take more shots at corner if I could, if I'm Detroit. All right, the Eagles, we see corner go off the board 3 times in a row with Devon Witherspoon. James Weber is a free agent. Darius Slay is up there in years. It just makes sense. It just makes sense at this pick. All right, will we see a tackle go off the board? Yes, we will. Broderick Jones. I think there's a good case to be made that Broderick Jones is much. He's probably got the higher ceiling of like the 3 tackles people are really talking about: Pierce Skronsky and Paris Johnson. He might have the highest ceiling. But however, he's not probably the most put together as a pass protector right now. He still needs a lot more polish. Like, I feel like Paris Johnson just checks a lot more of the boxes. And I don't think his ceiling is at least seemingly that far off of a Broderick Jones. But Broderick Jones coming from a very run-heavy Georgia team, you could probably insert this guy immediately and he'll be fantastic for you. But again, I feel the same thing about Paris Johnson. It's just really whatever your flavor is. Houston Texans go Myles Murphy. I'm glad not everyone's just shooting Myles Murphy down the freaking board. I like Myles Murphy. I'm hoping he performs exceptionally well at the combine here. And we saw with Travon Walker, like, I think Myles Murphy, if he has just a phenomenal workout this week, then we could be talking about him in the top 10 again. And that's currently where I have him. But with D'Amico Ryan, he likes to, at least based on what we saw from San Fran, they love to build the defense from the inside out. So him starting with edge players makes all the sense in the world. I think they're going to be very active with maybe some former D'Amico guys there in free agency. The New York Jets take Paris Johnson. So Paris Johnson's a cat that could, honestly, you could start him early at tackle or at guard, depending on how they feel about Elijah Vera Tucker. But Vera Tucker, you're probably going to just stick at guard. Like, the dude was phenomenal at guard, but he honestly played tackle very well as well. Honestly, it really might actually come down to how they feel about Max Mitchell and Mekhi Becton. So, I don't know. I think offensive line, offensive tackle makes all the sense in the world to the Jets. So, let's see what the New England Patriots got in store. It's Quentin Johnston. Ooh-wee. I say you make this pick and you go ahead and cut yourselves Devontae Parker here. Save $6 million. Like, I like the idea of Quentin Johnson. He's got a little bit more, little more zest than Parker does, but Devontae Parker, that is. Quentin Johnston could be, honestly, Mac Jones' best friend, man. A cat that could really create after the catch. He's got a frame that's hard to bring down, but he also turns upfield with exceptional quickness. Green Bay Packers take Brian Branch. This one's a bit interesting. I'm kind of curious because I love Brian Branch more around the box, around the line of scrimmage. That's where he just consistently makes plays. Will Joe Barry do that? Maybe Joe Barry just feels like he never had the guy there at safety to do that, though Darnell Savage, after getting benched, started playing more around that nickel and box area, so maybe we see Branch come in and do that for them. Holy smokes. Washington goes with DeJuan Jones, and we're looking at this, and you're going to see no mention of freaking Sam Cosmi. Oh, shenanigans. I don't know why people want to move Cosmi into guard. Like, he's a really good tackle. Charles Leno's been good for them. They got really good depth in Cornelius Lucas. If you really want to go offensive line, I feel like this pick, because you're not putting DeJuan Jones at guard. You're not putting 6'8" DeJuan Jones at guard. I think you maybe roll with, like, Cyrus Torrance. I mean, I guess you could put Jones at guard. I guess it's not too outlandish, but yeah, no, I'd rather go after DeJuan Jones. I said DeJuan Jones. Cyrus Torrance. I have him higher on my board. The Pittsburgh Steelers are going with Peter Skoronski, so he finally comes off on the board. Let's read here. Mike Tomlin spent a nice chunk of time with the O-line and defensive line in Mobile. This emphasizes the need in the trenches. For the Steelers, Peter Skoronski is a safe offensive line prospect that gets the job done at a high level. He does not have the ideal measurables or athleticism, but he is sound. He will more than likely kick inside at guard, but this helps Pickett and Najee Harris going forward. Yeah, well, they really need a tackle. I'm just going to say that. You're kind of hoping Kevin Dotson bounces back after kind of a lackluster year. You have James Daniels there. You have Mason Cole, who was actually pretty solid at center, so it's like you kind of need a tackle, but okay. The Detroit Lions take Lucas Van Ness. I like this because like him and freaking Aiden Hutchinson on the outside, dude, those are some silly strong edge players. And Lucas Van Ness has experience kicking inside at 3 tech as he did that in 2021. So on passing downs, you bring in James Houston, you kick Lucas Van Ness in there with Lee McNeil, and it is just scary. All right, let's keep this sucker rolling with Keely Ringo going to the Buccaneers. I'm glad to see most people aren't getting ridiculously low on Keely Ringo. Some of y'all are outlandish in the comments. I'll just say that. Like, oh man, he wasn't all that great against top ACC or SEC talent or whatever. Like, he had a so-so season. Listen, I'm sure people had the same gripes, but they probably did, with Tyreek Woolen, and I think we saw him fall to the 5th round because he didn't play in a Power 5 school. But how did that big frame and that freaking speed work out? Oh, worked out pretty well? Okay, Keely Ringo, I think, still deservedly is a first-round pick. And we already know the Tampa Bay Buccaneers need corner as Jameel Dean and Sean Murphy-Bunn, both free agents. Jackson Smith-Njigba going to the Seahawks. I don't mean to be rude, because there's some of y'all, not all of y'all, be like, oh, that's the last thing the Seahawks need is a 3rd wide receiver. That's such a loser statement. It really is. Like, we live in a passing league. What very good run teams are making it, are making significant runs in the playoffs? Oh, well, the 49ers. And when crap hit the fan at quarterback, oh, then what? Like, it's like what helped Brock Purdy was he had guys like Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, even Christian McCaffrey, very good receiving target, George Kittle. Like, having guys in the passing game kind of matters. If you're like, oh, the Seahawks don't need a 3rd wide receiver, okay. Then screw Geno. Then screw him. Why are you giving him money? He did pretty well last year. And then he started, like, near the end of the year, turning to his, like, freaking turnover worthy throw self. Like, start making those mistakes. And it's like, well, you could help remedy some of that by having more options to go to, especially after the catch target, like Jackson Smith-Njigba, where the combine is going to be pretty huge for him to, like, see, okay, are we talking about this guy is like, okay, he's the top slot guy, can he be more than that? But I don't know. Listen, if you're mad about the freaking Seahawks getting a 3rd option, that you're just saying, well, we primarily like to run the football. It's like, okay, that's loser dog. How'd that do for Tennessee and Cleveland? And, like, okay, shut your mouth. All these good teams that are making runs to the Super Bowl, they can do it in the passing game. You can be like, oh, the Eagles were really good in the run game. They had a quarterback that was really good. Okay. I hope that wasn't too mean. But, all right. Let's move on. Los Angeles Chargers go with Luke Musgrave, first tight end off the board. Apparently no one knows who's the top tight end in this class. I still think the most complete is Michael Mayer. If I'm looking for the best receiving, it's Dalton Kincaid. Luke Musgrave, though, it's really going to be interesting how those two test out. It really will be. I love Jordan Addison at this pick. I think it makes a ton of sense. I get Kellen Moore loves his tight ends. I get that really they don't have their at least option moving forward they would like at tight end, but I think I'm still going with Addison. Ravens go with Jordan Addison. Good for them. They get a very good route runner, and they get more weapons for Lamar Jackson because Ravens ain't going to let him go. Minnesota Vikings take Deonte Banks. I have said this like for weeks now that a lot of people are already they're on the Deonte Banks hype train in terms of him potentially even being a top 20 prospect. I've gotten behind that. He is just such a good fit for Brian Flores' scheme. It just makes all the sense in the world. He's going to probably test exceptionally well at the combine. It just kind of makes sense here. Clark Phillips is interesting. I assume for the Jags, you're starting Phillips in the slot immediately. Like, that's going to be your slot guy. You might be like, oh, he could be more than just a slot guy. It's like, well, yeah, but you got Darius Williams there. If he starts slacking, then you could swap him, or this gives you some flexibility. It gives you two guys that can play the slot position, so you can have them on the field consistently at the same time, but align them in a lot of creative ways. So Clark Phillips, man, really, like, his size is going to kill him. We're going to see how he tests out athletically. Super sad. I feel like he gets this Santi Samuel Jr. treatment, though. Cam Smith, we'll see how he tests out this week. I think a lot of people kind of point to maybe a lack of athleticism when it comes to Cam Smith and why he's fallen down a lot of people's boards. I think he'd be a good fit here for the Giants, so they really kind of lack. They have Adoree Jackson there, but like you need some more competition at outside corner, because they have a bunch of guys that I think are capable of being really good sub package or slot corners. So Cam Smith, I'm cool with that. Zay Flowers going to the Cowboys. A lot of people, again, will reference they went after OBJ. They eventually just signed T.Y. Hilton. So Zay Flowers kind of makes sense if you're looking for that speed at the receiver position. O'Cyrus Torrence, please. Okay, the Bills go Bijan. I forgot Bijan was still on the board. Listen, there ain't no way Bijan's fallen this far. I am sold on he's probably going to go in the top 20. Running back value be darned. Excuse me. I mean, yeah, this would be phenomenal, but you know what would help your running back? Offensive line help. I think O'Cyrus Torrence is kind of a no-brainer for me here, so yeah, it is what it is. Anton Harrison going to the Cincinnati Bengals. I love Harrison. I think he's going to test out really well this week in like the athletic drills and whatnot. I'm curious if he does do the bench or not, because like kind of play strength is kind of his concern. But he already, like, that's something he has adamantly worked on this past season, and I'm sure if he ends up waiting to perform the bench at his pro day, he'll probably go back and try to put on the weight, put on the mass to be able to execute that well. But Bengals, no secret, they need tackle help. Brian Brazee, I actually just did this pick in my last mock draft. I hope he doesn't fall this far. I think he's going to test out well. It's kind of wild seeing him go this far in mock drafts, in my opinion. It's not out of the realm of possibility, though. Good players fall in the draft all the time. But this would be a really good pickup for the Saints, as they have multiple free agents there on the defensive interior. Josh Downs. Ooh, I don't mind people like throwing wide receiver here for the Eagles, especially if they're looking to upgrade their wide receiver 3 spot. Like, Josh Downs twitched up. I love that. He brings a little something different than what they currently have at the receiver position. He's just a twitch up athlete that could create after the catch. And of course, Quez Watkins is kind of that vertical target. So I like this. All right, and then last but not least, we got Michael Mayer going to the Kansas City Chiefs. Listen, I don't think this is a foolish thing. There are a ton of times we see Travis Kelce kick into the slot as a big slot, and they use like multiple tight end personnel where they'll bring in like Noah Gray or who's the other cat? Fortson? Something like that. But like Michael Barrett could maybe legit be that heir apparent that can block, can be in line, but I think you could probably line up Merritt in the slot. How he tests out, it's going to be kind of interesting as well. How does he compare to the other more athletic tight ends in this class? But I like this pick for the Kansas City Chiefs. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. That's it for the video. Go ahead, do the YouTube thing as always. Until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.